Hey y'all, I'm James Wright and welcome to my shop. I've got a list. Let's check it twice. Whether you're new to woodworking or have been doing it for decades, it's always fun to find a new resource. And I want to actually look at a bunch of resources that I use regularly that help me improve my woodworking. I used to listen to a lot of podcasts, but in the last few years, I haven't listened to any, with the exception of one, Wood Talk. Especially since they've started coming back, I have been enjoying them. Shannon, Mark, and Matt have done an awesome job on it, and it is incredibly fun to listen to, and there's phenomenal information. Every single week, there's something new I learn, there's something fun to go look up, and I love it. Along that same line, because Shannon works in the lumber industry, he has a regular update that talks about things that are happening in the lumber world. And it is definitely worth doing. And just so you know, I will be putting links to everything I talk about down below so you can go and take a closer look at it. Since we mentioned Shannon, he also has the Hand Tool School. And it is by far the greatest resource in the entire web for hand tool woodworking. It is a school devoted to hand tools that's online so anyone can do it. He has semesters that you can follow a particular topic, such as turning or beginner or joinery, and you can really dive into that, as well as one-off series that you can look into to learn a specific topic very well. It is an amazing resource, and I'm on there quite regularly. He has a great group of people on there. The forum is awesome. It's just, I can't talk enough about the handtoolschool.net. Along that same line, there is the Wood Whisperer. There are the plans that you normally think of you can buy on there, but there is also a really cool forum, and they have a hand tool section, and I've been on there quite a bit. Lots of good information on there. I like going on there. Speaking of forums, from time to time you'll find me on Lumberjocks. I like that place. It is woodworking in general, but there are a lot of good ideas on there. And if I'm ever looking for inspiration, there are a lot of fantastic projects that are put up there that just boggle my mind and make me think I can do that too. When I first got into woodworking, one of the channels that really kicked me off was Wood and Shop. He has a website devoted to getting started with it. How do you pick your tools and how do you go through it? And it's a really cool resource. Even if you've been in woodworking for a while, it's kind of nice to go through there and you get some cool ideas. I'll leave a link to that down below. Another website I'm on all the time is HyperKitten, particularly if I'm trying to date a Stanley plane. He has a flowchart on there that goes through how do you actually date it. And you can ask, does it have this many stamps in this particular location? It's a yes or no questions, and it comes down to you have a type 13 or whatever you have. And it's a really cool resource, specifically learning about things along that line. Another similar site is Patrick's Blood and Gore. He has a listing on there of every Stanley number that they ever made. And if you're ever wondering, what's the number on that? You can go look it up on there. Or what is a number 51? I can't remember what that was. You look up number 51. Oh yeah, spoke shape, got it. As well as really cool information. And usually if I'm looking for something odd, I'll go and look up the Stanley number on there and I'll find something that I didn't know about. And there's a history behind it and just a fantastic collection of information on Stanley tools. When trying to find the history of tools, sometimes you're actually looking for the original patent or history behind a particular maker. And one of the places I usually start off is the MWTCA website. They have on there a massive collection of history, as well as trying to find the history is finding the person who knows the history, but it hasn't been written down yet. And that is what the MWTCA is phenomenal at. History on tools, that's the reason I go to most of the meets, not just buying tools. It's finding out about them and learning how were they used, who made them, when were they made, why were they made. Just an unbelievable amount of information. I'm not going to mention any books, mostly because I'm not qualified to talk about that. I generally don't read books. For me, as a dyslexic person, reading is an absolute chore, and my retention rate is so low that if there's no audiobook, I generally don't read it because it doesn't work for me. I much prefer to learn from video or talking to people or working in person. That is the preferred way for me to learn. But if you do have a book you like, put that down in the comments and let's actually create a list of books that you all like. Now that being said, oddly enough, I am subscribed to 3 periodicals, and those 3 are enough that it is worth me sitting down and going through the drudgery of reading them. And number 1, that is Mortise and Tenon magazine. It's actually like a woodworking journal with amazing information on it. Every time that comes in the mail, I book out a time and sit down and read it. Number 2 is Popular Woodworking. It is the one magazine that I actually subscribe to. I don't get a whole lot out of it, but every now and then there is a gem that pops out that is well worth my subscription. And it's not that much each year, so it's well worth it. And the third one, which is probably my favorite of the three, the one that I love getting in the mail, is the grist mill. It comes out 4 times a year, and it's put out by the MWTCA. And all you have to do to get it is be a member of the MWTCA, and they ship it out. And that alone is well worth being a member of the Midwest Tool Collectors Association. The articles in there are written by the people who have spent a lifetime doing a study on one particular topic, one history, one tool, and the amount of information that I get out of that is incredible. It is my favorite periodical of all time. At this point, I do have to mention a couple websites that I have. Number 1 is handtoolfinder.com. Handtoolfinder.com is the source if you're looking for hand tools and you're trying to figure out where do I find that number 46. Handtoolfinder.com. It is every known place I know of in the world. First, there is a map with all of the locations on there that I know of where you can physically buy tools. I have a list of all online sellers that I know of that are trusted. I have a list down below that of all the collecting associations around the world, not just the Midwest Tool Collectors, but others around the United States and in other countries. It is a collection of every bit of information I know of on where you can find hand tools. The next is lumberfinder.net, and that is every known source I know of in the entire world to buy lumber. These have been sent in by other Wood by Wright viewers, and so if you have something that's not on there, please let me know and I will put it on the list. And last but not least is the Wood by Wright Hive Mind. This is the place I'm going to go to ask questions most often. Number 1, it's a Facebook group, and number 2, it's also a Discord group. So there's basically 2 Hive Minds, but I talk to both similar. I'm probably on the Discord just a little bit more because it's a little more active. And if I have a question, that's where I go. And when other people have questions, they can post it there. And it's a forum where anyone can talk, from the beginner to the most advanced. And you can bounce your ideas off of people, show what you've made. It is the place I go when I have a question. And if they don't know, then they probably know the person who does. There are a few Facebook groups that I'm on. There's the Unplugged Hand Tool Finder. There's the Can I Have It group. I'm not on those quite as much because they tend to lead to a few arguments. Surprisingly, hand tool woodworkers lead to a lot of arguments, but I do occasionally venture into a few of those Facebook groups. Now, this list is just the tip of the iceberg on resources, and I know there's a lot more out there. Last time I did a video on this, there were so many that people added as well. So throw those down in the comments. Where do you go when you have questions? Is there some particular resource you go to answer something? Let me know that down below and we might add it into the list. So go ahead and look in the description and you'll see links to everything I talked about, as well as look in the comments down below and see what ideas other people have come up with and add your own in there. On top of that, commenting does help out the channel. Thank you. It gets this particular video in front of more people, helps the algorithm, gets us going. Thank you. On top of that, there are all the patrons over on Patreon. They get special perks like extra bonuses on the Discord Hive Mind, as well as video content and some behind the scenes things. Thank you. Without patrons and members here on the channel, we wouldn't exist. We are completely sponsored by you. Thank you for that. If you would like to help out with that, then click the little join button down below and become a member here, or become a patron on Patreon. You know how to do that. I think that'll do it for now. And until next time, have a wonderful day. I feel like I'm playing some sort of board game collecting resources so that I can create something.